Israel's youngest member of the cabinet, Sharren Haskel, says as opposition they were compelled to put their differences aside with Benjamin Netanyahu's government that is described as a right-wing administration. This comes as the international community puts pressure on Israel to agree to a ceasefire and to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. Haskel, who's been involved in politics from a young age, has told SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena that the Middle East will only be at peace when Arab leaders accept that Israelis have a right to live side by side with Palestinians.
On the 7th of October, Israel was attacked by Hamas. It means that thousands of terrorists charged the border, infiltrating through it and invading 22 towns, going from house to house, murdering innocent civilians, entire families, and burnt their houses. Some of them were burnt alive. Ever since that, everything in Israel changed. Our reality has changed. And so I was, for example, a member of the opposition. We put aside all of our differences and joined together forces to concentrate on one thing: how to keep our children safe, how to bring back the safety and the security of our people, to make sure that we can live here peacefully.
Now that we are having this situation in the Middle East, you have been involved as a young person in relation to the politics of Israel, but also Middle East. In your opinion, when will this conflict end? Because as a young person, I can see you are at pains talking about what happened, but it is even more painful for young people and their children in Gaza as we speak.
Well, you know, when I was young, our parents always talked that when we grow older, there'll be peace and we don't need to have an army and we won't have to have arms here in Israel. And that was our dreams. And I'll tell you what Golda Meir, our female prime minister who served here in Israel, told the United Nations. This conflict will end when the Palestinians love their children more than they hate us. When the Palestinians decide that they are willing to live side by side with us, understanding that we are not going to go anywhere because we know that they aren't going anywhere. And time after time, we reached our hands in peace, trying to find different kinds of territorial solution, being forced by the international community to make concessions, territorial concessions. And time after time, we received a slap in the face, we received rockets, we received murder, we received violence, time after time again. So this question has to be addressed towards the Palestinians. When will you accept that Jews, Israelis, are going to live here side by side? When will you love your children more than you hate us?
The Palestinians are asking the same question to Israel.
No.
When will you allow them to live with you side by side? When will you understand that they also are entitled to the freedom, but also to access their own land and to govern themselves? They are asking the same question from Israel. That is why I'm saying, what will it take for the two sides to do exactly what you are talking about, living side by side, both nations?
So let me put it in the Middle East context, because in South Africa, there's a certain context, okay, to what is to live freely, what is to live in peace. And for the Palestinian, time after time, no matter what the territorial solution was, they refused it. They didn't want it because there is only one solution for them. And you can look even through the internet. The platform of Hamas declares it clearly that the entire state of Israel has to be free of Jews, that they will not stop until the full annihilation of the state of Israel. Where does that leave a space for us? For Jews? I mean, even in Gaza, the Christians are living underground. They are not allowed to pray and worship freely. I mean, we are bordering an ISIS state. Can you imagine trying to build peace with Boko Haram, who is your neighbor? How can you, our core of the conflict, it's not more territorial, because look on the history. Gaza was completely evacuated in 2005. We left them that territory. We were forced and we were pressured by the international community. We evacuated every single living Jew from there. Even the dead who were buried there, we pulled them out of the grave and buried them in Israel. And so they were free to run their own autonomy, their own country, their own state. They're governing it for the past more than 15 years. And so what did they choose democratically? More than almost 60% of the Gaza population voted democratically at terrorist organizations, Hamas. And ever since then, they've been held hostage and captive. I mean, Hamas is not looking after the better life of Palestinians. I mean, they don't care for the lives of Israeli babies, and they don't care for the lives of Palestinian babies.
When we look at the death toll as we speak, according to UNICEF, an independent agency, it says more than 2,000 children have died on the side of the Palestinians, 500 on the side of Israel, which is true, and you have both sides losing the next generation. Mahmoud Abbas is willing to discuss a two-state solution.
Wait. Let's talk about that number. It is so important to dive into those details, because unfortunately, the jihadist, Islamic Jihad, is shooting rockets from dense populated area. They shoot rockets from behind a hospital where they say that 200 children were murdered. And so they don't care for the lives of their children, shooting rockets and faulty rockets that fall straight back on a hospital where children are. And when I say that they don't care about the lives of their children, that they hate us, the Jews, more than they love their children, this is what I mean. I mean, can you imagine yourself having your government setting a full bunker with ammunition and rocket launchers in a daycare school, or in a church, or in a hospital with injured people? But that's what they do as somewhat of a practice. And they don't care that some of the ammunition is faulty and is completely destroying those places, because it's easy maybe then to blame Israel. And you put the equation of how many kids are dead there and how many kids are dead. But who killed them? It's Hamas. It's the Islamic Jihad.
Let's talk about peace.
As much as they're murdering ours.
Let's talk about a solution. We've heard from both sides, and both sides, unfortunately, none of these two sides is willing to take responsibility. But people are dying, and something must be done to avoid the entire region to be engulfed in a conflict. What to from here? Is Israel, the emergency government, willing to listen to the entire international community saying, let's have a ceasefire or cessation of violence and find a solution to this issue? Are you willing, as the emergency government, to hear the cries of the entire international community, day in and out, the protests and all of that, pleading just for cessation so that this matter can be addressed and so that both sides can find peace?
So, if you look on the international arena, you see all the leaders of the free world, America, Germany, France, Italy, coming to Israel in support of Israel, because they understand that they were committing crimes against humanity here in Israel, murdering, beheading babies, raping women. Can you explain to me how raping a 13-year-old girl in front of her parents and her brother and then shooting her, bettering the lives of a single Palestinians? How does beheading a baby, taking a baby out of its mother's womb and stabbing it and then murdering its mother, how does that advance peace in any kind of way? And so the leaders of the free world understand that. They came here in solidarity and support of Israel because they know this is not a territorial conflict. We gave Gaza back. They have their own autonomy to run their own life the way they want. We are fighting a murderous organization, an ISIS organization, a Boko Haram organization, that its only goal is to murder as many Jews as possible. And with Boko Haram, you cannot have peace. If they did it once, they will do it again.
So
and
are you saying there shouldn't be peace? Are you saying
we have to make sure that Hamas is eradicated as much as Al-Qaeda was eradicated? Our society.
Are you saying the voices? Are you saying? Can I just finish? Can I just finish? Are you saying the leaders in the Middle East? I'm talking about Jordan. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about United Arab Emirates. I'm talking about Turkey. They are not telling the truth in terms of a need for both sides to accept responsibility and engage in a peace process. Are you saying only America is...
America, Germany, Italy, France, UK.
But what about the other countries? Who are your neighbors?
All of the leaders who are sharing our values, the values of equality, the values of liberties, of freedom, of democracy, those values that both of us, me and you, believe in. The leaders that believe in those values, yes, they came and they showed solidarity. Other leaders from different countries and from different culture who have different values wouldn't even take responsibility for Gaza.
South Africa subscribe to human rights and the values that you are talking about, particularly issues related to peace and security, and also giving other nations a right to be free and determine their own future, because South Africa has got a first-hand experience of the divisions. Are you also saying the voice from the South African population calling for peace and cessation of violence is not a voice that can be listened to? Only the Western world should be listened to.
I'm saying that soon the world will have to choose between two sides. The sides of the footprint of Iran, a dark regime who is murdering women, a place where women have no rights, a place where they murder children, where people are oppressed. That is the vision of Iran for the Middle East. That's why they have proxies in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Gaza, Hamas. That vision is not a vision that South Africa is sharing. And so I have no idea why South Africa would go to support Iran, who are murdering the LGBT community, who is not in favor of equality. What I'm saying is that if anyone wants peace, they need to find a way to live side by side.